Welcome back to the Great Outdoors Show. I'm your host, Bob Ide. We are at Weaver's Archery in Middleburg with Keith Weaver. And Keith, right around the corner, we're going to talk about hunting. Time to get your bow for preseason preps. What do we talk about first?
So probably the first thing to look at is your bowstring. Ideally, every bowstring should look fantastic. Unfortunately, sometimes they are not. If it looks like this here, maybe a coating of wax will do you. You also might take into consideration how long it's been on. The manufacturers recommend new strings every year. We tell people every 2 to 4 years because you don't want your bowstring to snap, because if your bow looks like this, you probably have a problem. It's missing a string, it blew up. So we got a new set of strings for this one. We'll address that at another time, but yeah, that can hurt the bow and a lot of other things. So mainly check the strings, look over the limbs, make sure there's no dings, make sure there's no splinters or cracks coming off the limbs. Look at the cams, make sure they're not dinged up too bad. And then a place like ours, we can check cam timing depending what cam system that you have on your bow. That's huge because, if you have a drop away rest or, there's a multitude of different things that are affected by cam timing. Cam timing is big. All right, so we're going to check the cam timing on this particular bow. So we're just going to go ahead and draw the bow up, and we can see here that our bottom cam is hitting the cable and our top cam is not. So that's a cam timing issue. That'll make the arrows and especially the broadheads fly a little funny. So we're going to let this up here and we'll take care of that. Okay, so we're going to press the bow and put some twists in this one cable that goes to the bottom cam. Here at Weaver's Archery, we use bow presses that do not affect the riser. We just use a press that flexes the limb. So it saves us, but also saves the bow for the customer. So we're going to press the bow here, put a few twists in, and see how this works out. All right, so we put a couple of twists in the string. I'll do a pre-draw, but before I draw the bow, I'll make sure all the cables are hooked up. We want to make sure the bow stays together. We'll just draw the bow here real quick, and then we'll put it back in the machine. Okay, so we put the twist into what's called the bus cable on this cam system, and we're going to put it on the draw board here and see how our cams are hitting. Perfect, hitting with the bottom cam and with the top cam. The cam timing is very, very important to good shooting. So the cams are in time, this bow's ready to go. So as far as bowstrings, the gentleman with the blown up bow, he wanted the factory strings, so we got the factory strings. We built custom strings as well, a couple different materials. You can pick whatever color you want. You can make it from mild to wild, unique to you. There's a bunch of different string materials out there. There is some inexpensive ones and there's some premium ones. So a bowstring is not just a bowstring, and we can help you walk through that.
And then bringing it in for service. Important? Because you just inspected it. If it needs something, you bring it right here to Weaver's, so you can do everything.
Absolutely. A good time of year to do it is between January and June. It's usually not quite as busy. It's right after hunting season, right before hunting season. There's people that do that, once a year. That's a good idea. It's not a bad idea because stuff can happen out there in the hunting woods.
Is it too late? We're in August. Is it too late?
No, not at all. Not at all. We got still about a month and a half or so prior to hunting season. Yeah, we do this actually even up through the season.
Yeah, oh, absolutely. People have to think about that.
Right.
So next we talk about arrow selection, very important.
It is very important because if you get an arrow that is too weak or too light, you may explode your bow like the one we just saw. It's very important. So you want to first of all see how long, make sure the draw length is correct. And we have a measuring arrow that we measure how long the arrow needs to be. Then we have a chart, with the draw length, or the arrow length rather, And the point weight's very important, the cam system, and then there's a chart here that, you know, the manufacturers have, you know, suggested. And you want to fall in there because that's very important. You can have maybe a correct weight arrow, but yet it's not stiff enough. It'll be, as it were, a snake coming out of the bow, and that does not transfer the energy of the bow to the target, or to the arrow, and then to the target efficiently. And you'll have arrow flight issues, broadhead flight issues. So arrow selection is very, very important. Once you have the cams in time, draw length right, draw weight correct, then you're time to look at arrows.
And Keith, another important part of preseason preps, checking your arrows.
Absolutely. As we'll see on here, some of these are, this one here's got a ripped fletching that's going to make noise. This one here, it's got a part here from being hit by another arrow. That can fly apart, causing some bad things. Again, a ripped knock and ripped fletching, busted knock. This one here got hit to the point where the end of the arrow actually needs to be trimmed down before a new knock is installed. So we do a lot of refletching, you know, something like this. The arrow is fine, we just need to put a new knock in, cut the vanes off, stick new fletchings on. We do that a lot. So ideally that's what you want it to look like, and we can make it look like that. And also on crossbows, because like this one here, this one got hit by another arrow right in the center of the knock.
Yeah.
That's a accident or a hazard waiting to happen there. You don't want to shoot that arrow. And you know, same way with this one here, it's got a little beat up on the knocks. The fletchings can get rippled from, you know, going into targets deep. That's not going to hurt your arrow flight, it's just going to make some arrows noisy. So checking your bow, checking your ammunition, your arrows, very, very key.
Take the time and do it.
Absolutely, it'll probably save you in the field.
It will, and you probably, you know, you might put that away last year and you forget about it. So the things you just talked about are extremely important.
Right, yep. And if you shoot a real tight group, you know, some guys like to shoot a real tight group where they got a bunch of arrows right like this here. That can be an accident waiting to happen, because as the arrows come in there, in the inside of the target, the field points can hit the sidewall of another arrow and crush that. And if you don't check that and you shoot that, the arrow can explode, the bow can explode, bad things can happen. So you want to make sure you inspect your equipment. It's very, very key.
And people can come in here or call you if they have a question about that, right?
Absolutely, yes. Ideally, the best way is to bring it in so we can exactly see what you have and maybe make some tweaks to it to make it correct. And it's surprising what correct arrows do for fantastic shooting. It really does.
Now, one of the important parts of the broadhead, very important, because what you kill, it really depends. You have to make sure you have the right point.
Yeah, broadheads are very important. A bow and an arrow kills by hemorrhaging, whereas a rifle kills by tunnel damage. So you want to make sure the business end of your arrow is very, very sharp. Now there's a bunch of different ones. I just have a few here. We got a bunch over on our broadhead display, but these are some of our better sellers, some of our better performing broadheads. Any of them will do the trick if you put it in the right spot, but some still are better than others. And whatever you choose, you want to make sure that you got it flying good with the good, correct arrows, correct cam timing. All that makes a difference, especially when you come down, you know, to the business end of your broadhead. There's a bunch of different ones. I like a mechanical style broadhead, one that is closed. And when you shoot, when it hits the animal, it opens up to a bigger cutting diameter. The flight is very, very similar to a field point. But then again, like I said, some people like they might like a conventional style where the blades are always open. You can sometimes have a little bit more arrow flight issues with these. You might need to tweak your setup a little bit more with something like this, but they will all do the trick. You want to make sure, first and foremost, that they're sharp.
So let's talk about crossbows now for the preseason preps. What do we need to know for crossbows?
Sure, so if you shoot a crossbow, one of the biggest things is to check the center serving. This area is the hardest wear spot on any crossbow. If it's shown any type of wear, it's good to get that part reserved. Make sure you have fresh there. Again, looking at the strings, make sure this one's not too bad, but it's probably should get replaced fairly soon. You can see that's worn pretty much the whole way around. This should get a new string on here pretty soon. Also, you can see it's frayed here. It's it's got a good bit of wear going on. This gentleman does have a new set of strings coming. We also have right here on the face of the limb, little pieces of limb material coming off there. I'll show you here with the knife. We can pick those pieces up. See that? That's going to progressively get worse to the point where the whole bow is going to explode. So an easy way to check your limbs is to use a tissue or a cotton ball, a cotton ball snag on things like that, and you can easily see if you have a problem with the limbs. This one over here, again, the center serving is shown some wear. A little bit of wear here, not too bad. And then this one over here, this one is kind of easy to check for cam time. And this one has some dots on the cams here, so we can see that that's pretty good in time on that one. Center serving's not too bad on there. That one there should be good for another season. So yeah, crossbows have a good bit of maintenance to them too. It's not just, it's a little easier to shoot it, yes, but there is just as much maintenance, sometimes more. So if you got a crossbow, mostly check your center serving.
So now, Keith, we are ready to get out there. You look at everything that you just talked about, but where are you located?
Again, we're right along 522, right between Middleburg and Selinsgrove. Right smack along 522. It's simple to find. weaversarchery.com, or you can give us a call, send us an email. It's pretty simple.
Next on The Great Outdoors, we'll head to World's End State Park.